The Daily News Editorial Board wants to welcome Kathryn Errington, who's running for District 4 on the Estero Village Council. Thank you for joining us, Katie.
Thank you.
Could you take the first couple of minutes here and help acquaint voters with who you are and some of your background?
My name is Kathryn Errington. I'm running for District 4 for the Village of Estero Council. My background is I have lived in Estero for 11 years, been a resident. I have participated in a lot of volunteer work in Estero. I've given back thousands of hours to Estero. I am a member of the Rotary Club of Estero, and before I came here, I lived in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I worked as a teacher and a school administrator. I worked for IBM as an educational consultant, and I became president of my Rotary Club there. And it's a little village outside Cincinnati, just north of Cincinnati, and I later became district governor. I had 53 clubs. 51 of them were, the presidents were men, and I worked very well with them, and they respected me and trusted me, and I did the same for them, so I enjoyed that. When I came to Estero, I wanted to get involved in local charity work. What prompted me was in 1992, I had lost my younger son, 24-year-old son, in a U.S. military helicopter crash. And it was after I lost my son, there was a tremendous need for me to reconnect with charitable work and to reach out to people. And I think probably that was the major cause for me to get involved in working with trying to give back. And I became involved in this community, setting up dental programs for children in Estero who maybe had fallen through the cracks. We have a few that have done that. And I managed to get 12 dentists locally to participate in a clinic that we had working with these children. I'd been a judge at science fairs at the high school, and currently I am serving on the Interfaith Charities South Lee County Board. And we go from the northern end of Estero and we come all the way down to Coconut Point. There are times when people are in need of a meal on wheels. I mean, it doesn't end where we think it may end. So we reach out to people. And in the meantime, I received my certification as a horticultural professional, and I have that. And so I've set up waist-high gardening for clients who come to the food pantry. I work with them in trying to teach them how to raise a garden and to take care of themselves. And we have a graduate. This is our first year. We've received a grant from the Shadowwood Charitable Foundation, and that's how we got it started. And so we have one graduate, and we have probably 3 more on the way to teach them how to garden. So I think I've just been involved really in the 11 years of giving back to the community.
How does all of that then translate into local politics and getting? When did you start with this movement? Was it
this time
in the incorporation effort going back years even, or?
No, I never thought about this even a year ago. The way I got involved in running for the city council was in October. I realized that a developer had managed to come forward with development outside the community where I live, which is Breckenridge. And we didn't find out about this until October. And as you know, for seasonal people, October is a time when people start coming back here. So we had very few people who knew what was transpiring with this development. and I led a charge. It's the first time I've ever done that, but I had at least 12 to 1,400 people who protested the developer coming right in on us, right across the street from where Walmart is being built. And we had 4 meetings. I ended up with the hearing before the hearing examiner and also before the Board of County Commissioners. And that was when I realized that if you don't get in early on these projects, it's too late. We should have been in months ahead of time, but we didn't know anything about it. So it was the way it was kind of wasn't transparent enough for us to know what to do. And we did not succeed. The developer succeeded. It's going to put in 285 apartments there and 100,000 square feet of space, commercial space. And it's going to be a nightmare for traffic. So after that happened, we went before the county commissioners on January 7th, but it was in November people started coming up to me saying, why don't you run for city council? And so it was over and over and over. They kept asking me that, and then I decided that I would try to do it. And so it was from the support of so many people asking me because they knew what I had done spent hundreds of hours on studying these voluminous reports that come in from the staff and all. And it was monumental. For me it was, because it was like 800 and 900 pages of legalese and trying to get through that. But it was a learning experience and certainly made me a stronger person.
As far as the initial tasks that the village council will face, what do you think is the first thing that needs to be done there?
The very first thing is that we have to find a place to set up shop, and I understand that the fire department in Estero has volunteered space, and then the next step would be to hire a city manager, an interim one, and then you need a financial director and on down the line with what the transition summary purports to doing.
Where would you look for that interim city manager?
Where would I look? I'm not that close to the project of doing that, but if I am elected, I will be given the privilege of having a transition manual, and then it tells me where the candidates would be coming from, and I don't have that. But I'm sure there are people out there who would like to do that, be interviewed.
And then in terms of going on beyond that and looking for your eventual village manager, your permanent one, how would you do that? Is that something you would look to the interim to take over, or would you want to do a statewide search, a national search? How would you approach that?
Personally, and I'm only one person speaking, but the reason I'm running is that I would like to be a voice for the people. I think people would like to do a large search, meaning that there could be somebody who has the background of Florida, knows it very well, and is certified in Florida, but living outside of Florida, let that candidate be interviewed too.
What are the characteristics, the attributes you would look for in a city manager for the permanent position?
Well, since that person really represents the council and the people, you need someone who's very personable, and background needs to be checked to check out whatever's transpired in the past. I think everything needs to be transparent. I'd like to see a person who really has the love of Estero in his or her heart and is working diligently to try to make Estero the best that it can be. So the characteristics are just honesty and trustworthiness and a people person, and a person who will listen to the people and not just to the council. I see the council as we are representing the people, and that's how we got incorporated, and we need to honor that.
You list in your literature. You list a water study with the South Florida Water Management District as a top priority. Do you have a hunch of where that might lead, or what is your concerns about there? It has to do with drinking water supply.
With my certification as a certified horticultural professional, I am recognized by the Florida South Water Management and also the Department of Environmental Protection. And so I have a real concern with the amount of development that we have already started and with the amount coming in, that we need to stop and look at how much water we have available. Will the aquifers take care of the amount of usage that will be required? I know when I checked into this one development coming in beside Breckenridge, now this is one development, and it's my calculation only, just it's hinged upon what I received out of the reports. They're going to use 25 million gallons of water a year, and that's just one development. Now that to me sounds like a lot. Maybe to water people it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a lot of water. And so we have to make sure. I would like to see, and I've never seen a report, and I've checked voluminously on the internet for just different kinds of reports, and I can't find one that says how much water we're using here and how much our aquifers are storing. I would think it's there. I just have not been able to find it.
Where would you go with that study? And what I mean by that is, okay, the Estero Village does not have its own utility, so you get the findings of the study. Where do you go with whatever the study might find?
Well, in the beginning, we will stay with the Lee County Public Utilities. That's kind of a given from what I've read. So we won't deviate from anything except the fire departments, and the San Carlos Fire Department and the Estero Fire Department will remain the same, and the Lee County Sheriff's Services will remain the same. The others, I think, will have to be discussed and to see which is the better deal, whether it's with Lee County Public Utilities or whether we do something different. And I think it's too early yet to know that.
When you say do something different, what are you suggesting there? That you would include looking at joining with BSU, you would look at creating village utilities, or are you open to all of those things? Where are you going with that?
I would be open to discuss it with Bonita Springs and also with the citizens in Estero. They need to be a voice in what we do. What's the cost factor? We have to live within our budget, and it's too early to rule out anything. We haven't formed yet as a council, so I'm really open to discussion. And again, what do the people want? And if it makes, if it's viable to go with someone else, then we do that. But we have to maintain our positive relationships with Lee County and also with Bonita Springs, and we want to have that. I like to get along with people. It's easier to work with people when you get along with them, and that's one of my goals, is to really get along with our neighbors.
As far as some of the initial departments that might need to be set up, or where would you look for contracting with others to provide those services if there's not departments set up in the village of Estero?
Well, it's my understanding that a transition manual that is about 3 to 4 inches thick will be given to those who are elected. And initially, that's where I would look.
You mentioned your concerns with a new development as being what got you into this. Is there a problem with the way development takes place now, and how should the city? It sounds like you think that there is, and that this wasn't transparent to you folks until late in the game. How should the city go about changing that to make it a more transparent process for the residents?
My thoughts on that is that the village of Estero needs to have its own rezoning and permitting boards. That's That's the change. I can see the changes that are coming to Estero. It starts with the zoning, and if we control that, then we can control better what happens.
Would those be volunteer boards that are set up for people to hear, or is that a professional staff that's at City Hall, as it were, taking in plans and going over them and approving them or not approving them? Or?
I think that would be a professional. It should be just like Lee County staff.
As far as the budget, there's a surplus built in there. Is the surplus something you would look at using every year, or would you want to build that up going forward? What would you do with that?
Well, the figures that I've read, we should have approximately $3.3 million at the end of each year, provided we don't have a hurricane or something really major to happen. I would think that to be prudent, we would try to build up our reserves and continue to reach out to the citizens of Estero that we don't take on anything that's going to increase taxes, and anything that they had voted, they being the citizens, that for the reason we were incorporated. So I would say let's get our feet wet first and then determine what it is we need to do, and listen to the people. I can't emphasize that enough, that we really need to listen to the citizens. When you get 86% of the public of Estero, the citizens voting us in to be incorporated, then we need to really listen to them.
On another financial matter, the Lee County Commission is looking at the rate of impact fees that they want to charge. The Village of Estero would have an opportunity to charge whatever level of impact fees that they want to, 100%, 45%. Where are your thoughts in terms of impact fees and where the village should take that?
Well, that's a very interesting topic. I am in total support of raising the impact fees to 100%. I honestly believe that if we do, we will still have developers to come. This is the hottest real estate market in Florida right now, is Estero. Why wouldn't they come? And so we have suffered in Estero with the lower impact fees because we don't have the infrastructure in some areas. We don't have proper roads that have been developed in the Bellaterra area. We don't have sidewalks continuing down past the Walmart on Three Oaks Parkway, sidewalks and bike paths. Coming in here this morning for the interview, I passed numerous people on bicycles, and that's a big sport here, and it appears that we should honor their lives and our lives too, to give them a proper place to ride a bicycle. And with proper money coming in from impact fees, we can provide some things like that. It's kind of like the Field of Dreams. You build it, they'll come.
Estero Council of Community Leaders has been quite active for a long period of time. Have you been involved with them at all?
I've only been involved with them whenever the developer came, and we attended a meeting with the Estero Council, the planning panel, and they were very supportive of trying to get the developer to stop, and it was actually too late by that time. Once it goes, any project goes through the staff and they check off the criteria that needs to happen. By the time it gets to the hearing examiner, it's, in my opinion, it's just really too late.
You talk about wanting to hear from the people. ECCL is going to stay active in the community. Do you think that they're going to have a lot of influence on the village council?
Well, I hope that they will serve as an advisory committee in one segment of what the village city council will be doing. But I really hope that we have citizens to step forward and also provide counsel. I have had numerous people telling me they would love to be on some kind of advisory committee. And so I think we would be remiss to just rely on ECCL. This is not, I don't see the Village of Estero Council being a continuation of ECCL. Contrary to what some want to think, I don't see it that way, and I hope it doesn't work that way.
What are the advantages as far as you're concerned about it not just being a continuation?
Well, we get fresh new ideas. I have heard so many ideas recently from what is so great about this area, that we have so many talented people. This area is just full of talent. And to tap into someone who has an idea or an opinion doesn't mean it has to work, but talk about it. Let's talk about it. Discuss it.
Do you kind of have in your head going into this what do you think the biggest challenge is going to be?
The biggest challenge for me, should I win my district, would be to just let the citizens of Estero know that I'm there and you can contact me. I will work with you. I think with what we are proposing to do with the hiring and so forth, I've done those things in the past. I've been on the other side of the table doing interviews of people for positions, and so that'll be very, very interesting. That will be a challenge, and I would like to see freshness brought in and transparency brought in. My biggest challenge and hope for this new council will be the purity of it and the transparency of it. To me, I'm not a politician, but that's where we get into trouble. We have to be transparent. We have to practice sunshine laws. I was president of our condo association, and I sat through workshops with attorneys on the sunshine laws here in Florida. And I understand that the sunshine laws are more stringent here with councils. And so I know how many emails you can send to who and what, so that's, to me, is very critical, that we practice the sunshine laws.
I have to ask this question. Obviously, with the whole slate of candidates, you're the only woman. Does that make a difference from your perspective as far as, does the council need a woman's voice on it?
I would like to say emphatically yes. The council needs a woman. I thought about that, and I'm surprised that another woman or two didn't jump into the race, but it doesn't bother me that they didn't. I have spent my life working in positions that I was usually in the minority, and that doesn't bother me. As long as I get the respect that I deserve, which I think that I am owed that. And I'm doing it too for not only myself, after I've thought about it, maybe it's for the younger women who need a woman to, in this day and age, it's kind of, how do you say, backward, not to have a woman. It's not progressive. You need diversity. And a woman brings just a little bit different perspective to a lot of things, and why not listen to that person, whether you agree or you disagree, but why not have someone there just to give a different opinion? And so I do it for the younger women, I do it for women my age. I have had so many women lately tell me they've gotten so psyched up with what I'm doing that they have told me that I wished I had done something when I was younger, just maybe a few years ago, just a little bit younger, and had done something that required me to step out of my comfort zone. So,
any final thoughts you want to add here as we run out of time?
I appreciate your having me in today, and I would like to emphasize again, I have 11 years of experience in Estero and thousands of hours in volunteer service with Estero, so my heart is here with Estero. And I just appreciate your inviting me in for the interview. Thank you.
Thanks, Keith.